You Americans are crazy. She's talking to a lobotomite. He's suffering from amnesia, it sounds like. What do you mean you don't know? Like, you said we spoke on Reddit. You don't remember your Reddit account name or anything? And he tries to reassure her, oh, I don't even know your name, actually. I only remember what you look like. And just going off of that picture in my head, in my mind's eye, I was able to find your Instagram account somehow. Dude's trying to cosplay like he had his brain scrambled by MK Ultra and can't remember anything except for bits and pieces about this lady's appearance. He is very clearly just trying to avoid saying the Reddit name because he knows that she'll know that it's that weirdo creep from years ago that kept making tons of different accounts to keep harassing her. Also, I think I should clarify this because it may have been confusing. It started 2 years ago, but it wasn't like some one-time instance where this guy just made like a ton of different accounts and she blocked them all and that was it, just, you know, put the kibosh on it. He continued to do this for a long period of time. Like, there's a post from her from 2 years ago with him doing it, a post from a year ago with him doing it, so he's kept doing this behavior for a long time, and now this is just his most recent rodeo here again. Somehow, creepy Redditor returned. The creepy Redditor of 1,000 faces. She says again, who are you? I don't know. That's the only thing I know. Maybe I told you my name and you'll remember? It's blank. I imagine whatever name he gave right there isn't his real name. He probably just dropped an alias or just a fake name that he probably thought sounded cool. I bet my sweet Bippy that he just chose a name that he lifted from anime. Oh yeah, it's me, Thorfinn. You don't remember anything, do you? And what's your name? Sorry, but I forgot. What do you mean you don't remember anything? You've given her no information. What the fuck are you talking about? What is she supposed to...
Today I have a magnetic USB dongle storage, fly or using their app where you can also remap keys if you want. When plugged in, there's a battery charging indicator on the top left beside the escape key. It comes with double shot PBT keycaps with nice and clear legends. And it has 5-pin hot swap sockets, which makes it easy if you want to swap out to other switches. I think this is a good portable keyboard to have, and this is how it sounds. Today I
Extremely thocky 75%. Sound of the F720. They say set macros, change the different key functions.
Mà nó có không nói nhiều. Ok, lò xo của nó đối với mình là sở thích ngon vãi, cứt thèm gì, thấy cái cáp thôi. Ok, nó chỉ là ngàm thôi nhưng mà nó vãi cứt rồi. Xuôi rồi, chê vẹo gì nữa. Đấy. Con này build thì nó thuộc dạng quá ngon rồi, chê làm sao được cái build. Switch cũng ngon, cây cáp cũng ok, quá ok trong tầm giá luôn. Ngược, thế nên là anh em chả phải nghĩ gì đâu. Quan trọng nhất đi rồi, không sâu lại làm gì cả. Rồi, cái công tắc 2.4.
Chà. Nặng. 2 nấc. 2 à? Rất là thì cái cận là ăn vào trong cái máy tính luôn. LED khá đẹp nhỉ. Wow. Rất hay rồi các bạn. Hộp nhanh cái bàn phím mà mình mới mua thôi, chứ mình thực sự là mình khi sử dụng Bluetooth mình thử cầm bàn phím ra các bạn xem nha. LED khá đẹp nhỉ.
Diyan. Dahil
Wow.
If you just want to turn it off or have a test here momentarily. So that with the iPad. Okay.
Today we're checking out the AU. Go ahead though and plug this in. Let's do a little typing test. Let's test acting typing test with that. When you click, cannot walk backwards, such as the kangaroo. So one thing I'm noticing with this keyboard right now is how quiet it is. It is such a really nice quiet keyboard, and when you click it, when you're like,
Hypnotech, I'm begging you, please try the Owla F75. Now, typing on the Reaper switches wasn't the best experience, as that longer pre-travel just felt a little bit sluggish to me. Speaking of sluggish, the main thing that you're losing when you buy a budget keyboard like this is good software. Oh no. Out of control mugs. Look at this little guy, he's gap puller. So hopefully this thing is hot swap. And for the actual keyboard, I'm also not expecting that much. Although in the last couple years, keyboards have gotten a lot better. Now, the first thing I notice is that it's surprisingly hefty and also surprisingly plastic. That's not surprising at all, though. And you'll notice this thing is a 75% keyboard, meaning that you get the F keys, you keep your arrow keys, but you get rid of your numpad and all of that other stuff. Now, I've prepared a super long list for you as to why this keyboard is so popular, and the list goes... The price? Okay, I'm joking, but there are 7 different color options and 3 different switch options, which you don't even see in some more expensive pre-builts nowadays. Now, I have the light blue theme, which has light blue accent keycaps and a white plastic chassis, and at a first glance, this does look like a better option than some other keyboards that you can get at this price point. But what really matters is the switches and the typing experience. Surprisingly, at this cheap price point though, you do get Bluetooth and 2.4 gigahertz, aka wireless modes for using this keyboard. And you also get flippy feet, which is a welcome addition if you like to adjust your typing angle. Now, as I mentioned before, the case is unapologetically plastic. However, it does feel a little bit solid when I'm tapping on it here. Like maybe there's some silicone or a heavy weight inside, which is also giving it its heft. Also, here's the flippy feet. Please go comment, good job on flipping those feet, Hippio. Now, you'll also notice that this board has RGB, which is shockingly bright for this cheap of a keyboard. Now, the keycaps on this version aren't shine through, but they do have versions with that, if that's interesting. Now, later in this video, I'll be taking this whole keyboard apart, comparing it to another budget keyboard, and checking out the switches. But you're probably wondering, how did this keyboard even get so popular? And where are they selling it? Well, part of that might be because they're using Shopify, the sponsor of this video. Now, Shopify is a commerce platform that lets you start your own business. And what does that even mean? Well, it lets you create a store online even if you're as dumb as me. Like, there's a reason that almost every single keyboard brand is using Shopify, because it makes starting a keyboard business incredibly easy. But it's more than that actually, because I was skeptical at first, so I signed up for the free trial at shopify.com/hippiotech. Yes, I used my own free trial link, please don't get mad at me, Shopify. And building out my merch store was so easy that I actually moved all of my merch to Shopify. This is a real website that I built in 8 hours using their tools. And actually, because Shopify is such a great widespread platform, and my good friend Kinetic Labs uses Shopify, I'm able to use the Shopify Collective plugin to sell my desk mats and keycaps directly from my store. And it took 5 minutes to set up. But also, all of my friends use Shopify. Literally. The Glarses Company, Shopify. Epic Gardening, Shopify. Aula, Shopify. So if you have an idea for a small business, or you just want to sell a product that you're passionate about, like these out of control mugs. Look at this little guy. He's so out of control right now. Then I dare you to go to shopify.com/hippiotech, build the coolest store possible, and email it to me. I genuinely want to see it. Just like I want to see how good this knob is. How good is it? Oh, it's actually kind of bad. Wait, huh? Now, usually knobs are really satisfying to turn, but this one just feels a little bit lackluster. It's also lackluster to push, and I've touched a lot of knobs, just like I've touched a lot of gaskets, and ooh, this one is giving me weird vibes. And this is where we start to run into things that could be an issue for some people. You see how this board is flexing, but like only in hotspots, like not across the whole board evenly? I'm assuming that's because of a flex cut PCB, but we'll see when we take this thing apart later, which is gonna be really easy, right? But first, let's go about the quality of the keycaps and the switches. Now, the keycaps are double shot cherry profile, and they're nothing to write home about. They're basically a $15 to $20 set of keycaps. They're probably gonna sound relatively clacky, they come in a couple good color options, and they're fine overall. Now for the switches though, this is where it gets pretty spicy. Oh no. Oh no, 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 no. Why would you put north-facing LEDs in 2020? So this thing is going in the garbage real quick, bye-bye. Is what I would have said, except this is 2024. Now, in the past, if your LEDs were north-facing, it meant that you couldn't use your keyboard with cherry profile keycaps. Well, kind of. But nowadays, a lot of Switch manufacturers have actually fixed the issue, so you don't get interference in your middle row when using cherry profile keycaps. So let's talk about the switches. Now, I have the Leobog Reapers, which are a linear switch, and guess what? All of the options for this board are linear. So, you know earlier when I said 3 switch options? Yeah, they're all linear. They're also all at a glance eerily similar because linear switch. And guess what? All of the Now, I have the Leobog Reapers, which are a linear switch. And guess what? All of the options for this board are linear. So, you know earlier when I said 3 switch options? Yeah, they're all linear. They're also all at a glance eerily similar because they all have similar total travel distance, similar force, but the only difference between the Reapers is that the pre-travel is a little bit longer. However, these switches are buttery smooth, unlike the case after I slammed it on my desk. Wow. Although I personally found that typing on the Reaper switches wasn't the best experience, as that longer pre-travel just felt a little bit sluggish to me. Speaking of sluggish, the main thing that you're losing when you buy a budget keyboard like this is good software support. Now, I've tried a lot of really bad softwares in my time, and sometimes the bad, sketchy software is actually kind of decent. In this case, no. The Aula software sucks. It took like 5 seconds every time I wanted to save a color combination. Resetting macros was sluggish and annoying. So if you're someone that cares about tinkering with your keyboard in that way, then get a board that supports VIA, a better software. Now, I haven't gotten to try the TTC Crescents or the Leobog Ice Veins, so I can't comment on those, but maybe the Ice Veins will be a little bit better. Now, the plate-mounted stabilizers are very well secured. They don't rattle at all, and they sound absolutely incredible right out of the box. This is a really big plus actually, because if you're new to keyboards, then stabilizers are usually the hardest thing to get right. And on top of that, the price of lube, brushes, better stabilizers all add up really quickly if you're on a super tight budget. So generally my thoughts on this thing have been lukewarm, albeit a bit positive. I am being a bit harsh here because it is so cheap, but how do I get this thing open?
Where are the screws? Where are the screws?
There are none. Now, here's the first massive con for this thing, and it's that the modability of it is pretty stinking bad. In order to get it open, you need a pry tool, really strong rock climber fingers, or a little bit of both, and you risk damaging the case. It's not super easy, it's not super fun, but it is doable. Once you get the case open, however, it is... Wait, is this empty? Oh no, that's silicone. Hey, that's silicone. Hey! The bottom of the case is filled with a silicone dampening layer, which is my favorite way to mod a plastic keyboard because it makes it feel heavier and sound more thocky. And the back of this thing has some pour-on foam, which you could potentially peel off and tape mod, but I don't think that it's necessary. Foam and sound more thocky. And the back of this thing has some pour-on foam, which you could potentially peel off and tape mod, but I don't think that it's necessary here. Now, if you're new to keyboards, you're probably getting overwhelmed right now. You're like, why is he talking about foams? What is going on? Well, various foams and other materials are used to modify the sound of your keyboard to make it sound a little bit better, or just how you want it to sound in general. Peeling back this foam unfortunately reveals the sad reality. The PCB is flex cut, and it's really weird flex cuts at that, which is why it felt so hot spotty. This can give your keyboard a little bit of a thinner sound, but I honestly didn't notice it here at all. Now, first, let's go ahead and put this thing back together with some magic. 1 subscribe equals 1 magic. See, did you just see the subscribe button lit up there? That was cool. Now, to be fair, I did get mad that this thing isn't very moddable. However, there really aren't that many mods you would do to it. But if you do, you might end up with a scuffed bottom case like I'm pointing out here. Yikes. If you spend an extra $30 or so, then you could get a fully aluminum keyboard that would have screws. Now, I'll be comparing this keyboard to another one in a second, but let's talk about the sound. This thing has no right sounding as good as it does. And this is probably the actual reason that most of you have been telling me to try this thing, because what I realized is the people asking me to try this keyboard actually already own it. Like, you guys don't want me to review this thing because you want to buy it. You want me to review this thing to tell you that you made a good purchasing decision. Is that crazy? I don't know. It sounds kind of crazy. So if I told you it sucked, would that hurt your feelings? Sorry, I'm just playing with you. Or am I? Because there's a lot of keyboards out there that are really good. Now, let me just use this as an example because it was sitting on my shelf. Yes, I have 200 keyboards on my shelf. What are you getting mad at me? Now, it's not a one-to-one comparison because this board is $13 more expensive, but the Royal Kludge M75, wow, it already is on when I turned it on, is a board that I think covers all the same bases, but I prefer just a little bit more. And I'm using this to show you how important preference is and why you shouldn't just buy a keyboard because you saw it on TikTok or something. But if you thought the Owla F75 was cool, this board looks more visually appealing to me. It has some cool touches that just look more interesting. Its knob isn't ugly. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still a plastic keyboard. It still has flippy feet. We're still covering a lot of the same bases that the Owla F75 does, but nobody talks about this keyboard, ever. Also, the gasket performance is more even, and I like that. It also has a little screen that's virtually useless. When you're buying a keyboard, what's important is to determine what matters to you the most. The problem is, that's usually feel, and you can't determine that over the internet. That's obviously a huge problem, and why I focus so much on sound in keyboards, because if a keyboard sounds scratchy, then it probably doesn't feel smooth. Or if a keyboard sounds super pingy, then it probably doesn't have the soft gasket absorption that you might get from a more premium keyboard. But ultimately, there's a myriad of other factors like software support. Do the keycaps look nice? Does the knob feel good when you touch it? Does the brand have good customer support, which none of these brands do? Do I have the ability to take this thing apart easily and fix it if it has any issues? And ultimately, that brings me back around to the Owla F75 and any budget keyboard in general. You're making some degree of sacrifices, so it's not going to be the perfect best keyboard ever. Now, I'll show you how both of these keyboards sound in a second, but ultimately I prefer the Royal Kludge, but this is just one example that I pulled out of my closet and isn't really important to the video. What you came here to see is me telling you whether or not the Owla F75 is a good deal, and whether or not if you bought it, you made a smart decision. And you know what? Yes, it's a fine keyboard. It sounds really nice. It feels pretty decent. It cuts a lot of corners. But if you're on a tight budget and you bought it, you should be happy. And please stop commenting about it.
Let's see why. This is the EpoMaker and Aula F75 keyboard. I was interested in this guy for a few different reasons. First, it is a 75% keyboard, which is my personal favorite size. Second, it has a gasket structure and hot swap functionality, which means it should sound and feel sublime. Third, it has three-way connectivity, which includes USB-C, 2.4 GHz wireless, and Bluetooth 5.0, along with Mac, Windows, and Android support. I've never heard of Android support before, so that was interesting. Last, the price. It comes in at $69.99. Aula did send this out to me for review, but that will not bias my opinion in any way, shape, or form. Starting off with the 75% keyboard layout. For those of you who don't know, that just simply means that it's missing the number pad and some of the other keys right there in the middle, but still retains the arrow keys, delete, page up, page down, and end key, along with a full F row. I like these the best when it comes to gaming, as it gives me more room to move my mouse, or when studying or doing work, I have more room to place my iPad for notes or other things that I need to refer to. Second, we have the gasket structure and hot swap functionality. This is common in custom built keyboards, which makes typing a lot smoother, along with providing a more satisfying sound. It's more of a thunk instead of a click. Here's a quick sound test to show you what I mean. The gasket mount makes it kind of feel like you're typing on springs, giving you a bit of a bounce. I find this helps mount.
Hey, damn.
The gasket mount makes it kind of feel like you're typing on springs, giving you a bit of a bounce. I find this helps speed up my typing along with reducing fatigue. So, with the subjective points out of the way, they report it comes with 5 layers of sound and shock absorption. I usually see 2 layers of shock absorption, so getting an extra 3 layers is definitely appreciated, but I could be wrong. I'm not a huge fan, I don't follow custom keyboards a whole lot, so I might be incorrect about that. So if you're a custom keyboard enthusiast, please do educate me in the comment section below, as that will help me and the other viewers out. This does include 2 layers of Porone foam, IXPE switch pad, PET sound enhancement pad, and a bottom silicone pad. Again, I'd be lying if I knew what most of that is, as I'm not one of those who is super into the custom keyboard space. All I know is that the foam and silicone help reduce pinging and make it sound a lot better. I think this keyboard does sound great, especially when considering the price and that it is a pre-built, as usually pre-builts just don't have as much care put into them because they're mass-produced, but for this guy, I think they absolutely nailed it. The PCB and Leobog Reaper switches come pre-lubed. Again, this cuts down on noise, increases smoothness, and changes/reduces sound. The consistency between every key press is superb. It is probably my favorite typing experience that I've tried to date, which I hate to say on a sponsor review, as it makes me sound very suspect. But truly, this blew my mind on just how smooth everything feels, along with just the great sound. I prefer it over my glorious GMMK Pro with Panda switches, which I built and lubed myself, but part of that might be because the Lecker switches just feel a bit smoother than the Panda switches themselves that are a tactile switch instead of a linear switch. While that keyboard is made from metal compared to plastic, it is dramatically heavier, which makes it feel a bit more solid. As from a psychology standpoint, something something that is heavier will always seem like it's better made, which is not always the correct assumption, but it's just something that our brain kind of jumps through. I've been reaching for this guy for typing as it just feels sublime. For the price, I think this will be hard to beat, as originally I was going to compare it directly with another keyboard that was greater than $200 that had the same specs, but things didn't end up working out, so that keyboard was never sent, so that comparison will never be done. Third, we have three-way connectivity. On the top, you have a switch where if you move it to the left, you activate 2.4 gigahertz wireless. It does have a little magnetic port to hold the USB-A transmitter where it won't go anywhere when traveling. I'd show it to you, but it's plugged into the computer currently. I did have a lot of regular typing and a fair amount of gaming in this mode and didn't notice any dropouts or latency, which again for the price is very surprising to me. The best part of the 2.4 gigahertz wireless is the ease of use, as you simply just plug it and play, switch the switch to 2.4 gigahertz and you're off to the races. You're good to go. You have full wherever you want to place your keyboard, you can place your keyboard along with having the low latency. So it's a win-win. Next, you have Bluetooth. To activate that, you just simply move the top switch to the far right. First time around, it will automatically be in pairing mode. Then you just pair it like anything else you've ever paired in your life. If you don't know how to pair a Bluetooth device at this point, I worry about you and you need to get some help. It will come up with Aula's F75 5.0 keyboard where you turn off the keyboard and then turn it back on. It will quickly reconnect to the last device, which for me took less than a second. To enter pairing mode, you simply hold the function key along with 1, 2, or 3, as it can pair up to 3 different devices at a time. For example, I had my laptop, iPhone, and iPad all paired, and then to switch between those devices, all I would have to do is just press the function and then 1, 2, or 3. Again, connection is quick, or I should say switching in that mode is quick. This worked way better than I thought it was actually going to, especially for the price, and honestly makes me quite upset at a lot of the gaming keyboards for charging a crazy price tag and not having all of these features, and when they do, they don't work as well. So that just kind of boggles my mind a little bit. Anyways, it comes with 4,000 milliamp hour battery. They don't mention particular battery life, and I'm terrible at testing battery life personally, so I can't even really give you a ballpark number, and with a quick turnaround time on this review, which was a week, I just haven't had the time to test it properly. But I'm about 30 or hours more at this point with the 2.4 gigahertz at normal RGB brightness and the raindrop effect, which should be using the maximum amount of battery. Also, the reason why I'm only at 30 hours instead of more than that is because the first half of the review, I just had it plugged in with USB-C, and then I remembered, oh, it has 2.4 gigahertz wireless that I really should be testing for battery, and that was just my bad of being delayed. So that's on me. So talking about the battery life, it does seem good to me, as having RGB on will decrease battery life, along with the brighter the RGB, the more battery life it burns, and lasts 2.4 gigahertz uses more battery than Bluetooth. So if you're wanting to get the maximum battery, you'd want to minimize or turn off most of those features so that you get the longest battery life possible. And I would say in normal lighting environment, you wouldn't even need the RGB. So, or if you wanted to use this at like work or something, this looks like a very professional high-end keyboard even without the RGB, so you'd be set that way. I would have liked a better battery gauge, as they have a little light to the right of the escape key that I never really figured out what it did, as it always looked the same. So going a little bit more into this, I think there's technically 4 bars here, and 4 bars to me thinks that it's 25% for each bar, but if I've never dropped below the 75% battery life mark, then I would have never seen it go down. So what I'm thinking is that if I give this more time, that I should actually see the bar go down that way, and then that way I would actually know how much battery life is left in this, because I think the 30 hours for a 4,000 milliamp hour battery and how much energy this uses is probably way low. So I would look at some of the other keyboards that just have similar, that you could probably get a better judge of what the battery life is at. I'm talking way too long about battery life, especially since I didn't test it, so we are moving on. Last, you have USB-C, which is in the middle part of the switch and on the left side of the keyboard, and how you charge the device or use it just for the lowest latency, which is great. The thing that I like the most about the 3-way connectivity is that this can work on all of my devices. I have a lot of different peripherals, and it's nice to have a single device that I can easily just switch between all of them if I want, without even actually having to do anything with wiring. I could have my main computer be with USB-C, and then I could have say like a different computer with the 2.4 gigahertz, and then I could have like my iPad and my phone and some other device on Bluetooth, and I wouldn't have to change a single thing. I would just have to grab the keyboard itself, and that's what I love about having multiple connectivity options. Moving on to 4. Overall build quality is great. My first impression when I felt it was made out of plastic and quite lightweight, and made me a bit concerned, as that was compared to the glorious GMMK Pro, as again, weight can make something feel higher or lower quality. With me saying that, just a little bit of an asterisk, the glorious GMK Pro is over there, which is why I'm pointing over there, is a solid sheet of metal, which is very, very heavy. This is not. So me comparing those things, so I don't know what the weight is for that, but I would imagine this has got to be half, makes it seem like it's crazy. But if I pick up any of my other normal gaming keyboards, this is probably twice as heavy as that. So again, it's really kind of subjective how I'm saying that. So when I say this is lightweight, it's not actually lightweight. It's just from my comparison point of view of with the GMMK Pro that it feels lightweight. With that, this thing has no flex outside of the gasket mount like it's supposed to. It feels incredible. So it feels way high quality when compared to normal peripherals that aren't made out of actual metal. So with that out of the way, I'm going to continue. That impression of this feeling kind of not high quality was definitely proven to be incorrect very quickly, as the keycaps are double shot PBT, which is great, and they look great. The font is fantastic. It's very crisp, and they just feel fantastic. They feel very high quality, but they do not have shine through letters. What I mean by that is that when you have all the lighting off, you don't actually get, like, the P doesn't actually highlight because they didn't do a translucency effect on that. So you'd have to buy different keycaps if you're wanting that to work, but it does have RGB lighting, so it goes around the edges instead. So anyways, you're smart. You know what I'm saying. That could be a deal breaker for some, but I don't think so. The stabilizers are great. I get minimal wobble with the normal keys, and that is only when I'm trying, and there is almost no wobble, if maybe even no wobble on like the space and enter and other bigger keys like that, unlike the insane wobble that I get with my glorious Panda switches. The volume rocker is the only part of the keyboard that I felt was in the price range, which isn't saying that it feels bad, it just doesn't feel fantastic. It does have a metal ring and very dedicated steps, but sometimes it feels a little bit mushy and kind of lopsided at times. The middle press feels absolutely fantastic, and it's very accurate where it always registered my movement when I was clicking through it. The switch on the top for wireless, wired, and Bluetooth is excellent, very solid click, very easy to grip and move, and has no wobble and immediately registers. Excellent all around. The rubber feet are grippy and solid despite already being angled, as you can kind of see here, hopefully. You do get some step-up feet in 2 different degrees, which are just hardcore. I mean, you can just see and feel that snap, right? Like, it's hardcore. And also has a large rubber feet on the bottom, which again is just perfect in all the right ways. Last, with it being fully hot swappable, it means you can put about any switch you want in the sky and get your ideal feel. Or if the key does go bad, you can just swap it out and you're good to go again. It does come with 2 additional switches in case that does happen, which is always appreciated. Some other points I haven't hit: it does have 16.8 million colors of RGB with the included keycaps. They don't shine through with letters, but instead highlight around the key, which I think looks great. Overall color accuracy of the RGB is good. I've seen a lot better, and I've certainly seen a lot worse. White is not perfect white, but it is able to hit on some of the harder colors, such as orange and purple. But for the cost, it is solid, but doesn't compare to Razer or similar. They are north-facing, which some people dislike. As far as I'm aware, there is no software to allow you to individually change the RGB, but it does come with a bunch of preloaded RGB options. You can cycle through the different options by pressing the function and / key. To change the color, you press function and tab. To change the brightness, you press function and up and down. And to increase or decrease the RGB animation speed, it is function and left or right. Overall latency of the board is fantastic. Usually this part is the thing that I struggle the most with, especially on budget-oriented devices, as the firmware is usually very poor. However, they've nailed the firmware here, and it is very snappy. I was able to play games without any issues. Both wired and a 2.4 gigahertz just felt absolutely fantastic, which means this guy is going to be good for both typing and gaming. It comes with the keyboard, 2.4 gigahertz dongle, Type-C cable, keycap, and switch polar and user manual. I struggled through that, which is only in Chinese, so I had to use my phone to translate to get the instructions. So that's something that they could improve on in the future if they're selling a lot in the US market, which includes a few different things. First, this keyboard does support Mac, Windows, and Android. You access that by pressing the function and then the Q for Android, W for Windows, and E for Mac, which I think is awesome. I can confirm that this works well on Mac, as I did test it on my MacBook Air. We talked about the RGB options and the Bluetooth already, so you already know those actions. I think where you see the cost savings is there is no dedicated shortcuts for play, pause, forward, backward, or different profiles, along with different modes or macro support. So the firmware itself is upgraded in the sense that it actually has options, but it's not fully upgraded like you see with some more dedicated keyboards that have just a lot of more options. I also didn't look and see what their NKRO rollover is as well, but I would assume that it's at least 5, if not. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't look. I should have looked. I apologize. Overall, this is a banger keyboard for the price that I can't recommend more, which makes me sound like a shill during a sponsored video, but sometimes a product just knocks it out of the park. And I think finding similar features that are this well done will be hard at this price point. So well done, Epo Maker and Eula. I apologize if I'm saying your name wrong, by the way. I have no idea how long it will last or what the QA is for a lot of other people. If I do run into
mess of my own. Like a superwoman sometimes need a superman soul. Love, love, if I'm not video. Love, I feel I'm going down, 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 I hear cloud. Love, love, I feel I'm not giving love. Love, I feel I'm not giving up.
Tama ako. Tama po ba ako dito? The more you work harder, the more you deserve. Ayusin na yan. Kita hindi magdahan-dahan eh. Ethan, hindi ba masama?
What the hell? Arte nomás. Oh. Vortex Circus.
Oh. Dahil pwede pa yan. Dahil
catch me, darling. Catch me, darling. There's no man, it's me the swing. Whenever close, baby. Hold me close, baby. Bum bum. I want you to know that I'm never leaving no soul that Christ believes in you. More.
maybe
Snowman in me. There's no more and no lie. I wanna see what I told. Ba ba ba. I'm really feeling too. And we're me, ain't no lie. Ba ba ba. I don't wanna get bad enough. Ain't no lie. Ba ba ba. And you behind. Wanna think it's too hard enough. Not this time. How do we get here? It's the you so I hope I love you all my life. I don't wanna run away, but I can't take it. I don't understand. Fight me breathing harder. My heart tells me that I am. Way that I can stand. I don't wanna run away, but I can't take it. I don't understand. If I'm made for you, then why does my heart tell me that I am? Baka kailanlan di naglalaho. Iba ba kung mabubuo? Pam 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 pam. Bum 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 bum. Pagkakakilanlan titing naglalaho. Iba ba kung mabubuo ang pagkakakilanlan titing naglalaho. Iba ba kung mabubuo? What the hell? Where the love can think about the end. Where the love can take that the hold it on. To facing on. Love can make about the end. Take that the hold it on. Alright, to facing on. Take that the hold it on. I want to facing on. Never can. Something to so see how one. Uwan natin ang ating mga paa. Tanang bawat at siya'y nadarama. Uwan natin ang ating mga paa. nagsibuhan. Alala na papasok kaluluwa. Nagukan na tawan ng iyong mga baka. Narama ka na tawan ng iyong mga baka. Bukan natin ang ating mga paa. Tulak ang pinto. Tulak ang pinto. Tulak ang pinto. I try to capture every minute, every minute, through my fingers all the time. In my mind, it's time to think, frozen over. It is going, taking through my fingers all the time. Through my fingers all the time, I try to capture every minute. I feel it deep through my fingers all the time. See what's in my mind, it's time I think. Through my fingers all the time.
Ow! God damn.
capture every minute. Slipping through my fingers out of heart. See what's in my mind, time to feel.
Vâng.
And I look in your eyes. Told you a lie.
Mahal. Wala palang tubig, mag-igib tayo. Bukas wala, hindi sila makakapag. Tama ba natin dito ako? Wala naman. Wala naman. Dito ka na lang sa loob. Kantayin mo si Kuya. Here. Here. Nadudulas na ay. Mga bana kasi ko. Dapat talaga pagupitan na. Oh, ito. Ayusin ko tayo na. Dito ako pinagbuksan. Ano ba yung pinilak na
What the hell? Ah! What's going on?